I got a question for you guys. How many of you have bought those little web shooting toys that they had back in like the 90s? I mean, these things were amazing. They had these canisters on them, and then you could just shoot out this foam crap or whatever the hell it was. But once it ran out, you were like, well, this thing is useless. Quite a waste of money, but you got your parents to buy it. What's going on, guys? HamstaGanza over here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed, and to everyone that's been watching my channel lately. You guys are amazing. You guys are sexy, and thank you so much. Thank you. It means a lot to me to be able to get all this love and support, and I just want to keep on making more of these videos. So like I said in my previous video, I was gonna do a spoiler talk review, and I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of this film, but I decided to go the route of doing a top 10 list. Now the cool thing about it is I listed it based on the possibility of what the MCU could have really done with what they had. Because obviously they had limitations, we already know that, but there were definite areas they could have adapted from the comic book and used it in their story. Let's start it off. Number 10. So number 10 is Nitro. Nitro is the villain that started this whole thing. Nitro was the character that caused this whole thing to erupt. There's this group of young Avengers who have their own TV show, and they go out chasing bad guys. However, they come across Nitro, which unfortunately they made the big mistake when he literally blew up. Where he blows up, where over hundreds of people get taken away in the process, and that is just showing something crazy. And I believe Nitro could have been cast in this film. They could have found someone to do it, but instead they decide to target everything on Bucky and make him the guy that everyone chases in this film. Number 9. So the superheroes have to reveal their identities. This is exactly what happens because of the Superhero Registration Act. Those that decided to be pro-registration had to reveal their identities to the government and be supervised for anything that they were to do, for any mission they would go. And this was such a huge moment, but as we know, in the MCU, really everyone's face is already shown. We already know who everyone is, and so does the whole world. There is really no character that we don't know their true identity, with the exception of one character that I will talk about later on. Number 8. In the Civil War comic book, there are tons of villains that join sides in this. It's not just superheroes fighting each other, there's also villains. However, seeing as a lot of the villains we've had in all the MCU movies so far, most of them have been wiped out. I mean, we have a few, barely a handful. It put MCU in a situation where they just decided to, hey, let's save these characters, let's not use them right now, let's use them for later. It's too bad because I really wanted to see some amazing villains. Number 7. S.H.I.E.L.D. is what started this whole Superhero Registration Act, causing superheroes to choose sides. And it was really a big moment, especially when Commander Mary Hill confronts Captain America and tells him, are you going to sign and agree to the Superhero Registration Act? In the comic book, he decides to escape, and basically he becomes the character that they're chasing now. Another thing, we don't get to see characters like Mary Hill or even Nick Fury. And I know why this is the case, because when we saw Captain America the Winter Soldier, it showed us that S.H.I.E.L.D. was really corrupt and it was secretly ran by Hydra. So there is no S.H.I.E.L.D. in the MCU. Number 6. I feel like this might be kind of going a little over the top, but seeing as we do have some amazing Netflix series that Marvel has created, why couldn't they do a crossover of all the characters that are leading up to creating the Defenders? We've already seen 2 seasons of Daredevil, which is a phenomenal show. We have already seen a season of Jessica Jones. Luke Cage is coming out in September, and we're still supposed to get Iron Fist. And we got to see the Punisher. Why are none of these characters in this film? This would have been a beautiful opportunity to bring some more amazing characters into this universe. But can we say they will cross them over into the MCU down the road? It's possible, but probably not. Number 5. There are over dozens of characters that fight each other in the Civil War comic book. In the film, however, we get only 6 characters against 6 other characters, which all really happen to be superheroes. There are really no villains. And this is where I feel the scale could have been expanded upon. Because if you're going to call a movie Captain America Civil War, while yes, it's clear in the title that it's specifically leaning towards Captain America, if you want to have a war, you got to have more than 12 characters that are all fighting each other. You know, there's got to be more than that to call it a civil war. And I feel like that didn't give me that kind of feel because it wasn't really on a huge scale. It's really on a limited, smaller scale. We only get to see the characters that we've been already introduced in the previous MCU films, and we got Black Panther, which thank God for that. Black Panther. Yeah. Number 4. So this is where we have the big fight, and in this big fight we have Ragnarok, who is a cyborg clone of Thor. While a lot of the characters that first see him appear in the Civil War, they think to themselves, is that Thor? Once they see what Ragnarok does, is he blasts this lightning right through Goliath, and Goliath dies. Now in the film they show something in the spirit of that, where Vision shoots his laser from his Infinity Stone, but he accidentally hits War Machine in midair, which causes War Machine to fall down. And then we have that feel of like, oh my goodness, what happened? War Machine is dead? Is he dead? Of course he's not dead. They showed it in the trailer. Why would they show someone dying in a trailer? That would just completely defeat the whole purpose, and it would just be a massive spoiler if they actually did that. This leads up to number 3, death. There is no one that dies in this film. Captain America dies in the Civil War comic book. He gets shot by crossbones, which we got to see in the beginning of the film, and that's really all you get to see of him, and it's pretty sad that that's how they took upon to utilize that character. And then Captain America gets assassinated by Shannon Carter, who also doesn't have a big role in this film. Number 2, Superhero Registration Act. Why did they call this the Sokovia Accords? This is by far the stupidest thing they could have come up with. Yes, I know why they call it that, because of what happened in Sokovia, in the past places that all the chaos has happened and all the destruction. We know that, but why call it Sokovia Accords? Superhero Registration Act just sounds a whole lot cooler, and it's just more straightforward. Like, come on, MCU, you really could have not just said that instead. You could have not just had that written on the cover page of this agreement. This leads me to number 1, and this is going back to what I mentioned in the beginning of my video, that there was one character that didn't reveal his identity, and that character was Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. This was the biggest, hottest news when we found out that Sony is giving Spider-Man to the MCU. I mean, everyone's ears were shaking. Everyone was going insane. I was like, oh my god, this is finally happening. We are getting some merging happening here. This is what I'm talking about. But what the hell? There is an issue though. In the comics, Spider-Man plays a much more significant role than what we see in the film. In the film, we get first introduced to Peter Parker, where we see his aunt speaking to Tony Stark, and at that moment he's like, whoa, that's Tony. But this is where I have the issue. Why couldn't they have shown a cool action scene? Just a small little clip. I just needed a little action clip of him just kicking someone's ass. It could have been in the alley, it could have been some lady getting mugged. And yeah, while you may say it's cliche, who cares? We love Spider-Man, we love seeing him do that. Give that to us. Seriously, give that to us. This is where I really didn't like that they didn't do what the comics did. Why is there no Iron Spider? Fuck! There is no Iron Spider. How do you not have the coolest suit for such an amazing character in this film? Do you have any idea how many people seeing this film would have needed tissues when they would see Spider-Man in an Iron Spider suit? Oh yeah. This would have been the most amazing thing that the MCU would have done up to date. This would have literally made everyone's jaw drop. Because, yes, like I said again, they do this in the spirit of the comics where Tony's like, oh yeah, your outfit looks, it looks great, but really the outfit looks, I'm gonna say, at least better than what we saw in the very first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. What he means by upgrading is showing us the original Spider-Man suit, which still looks great. I love it. I think it looks amazing. Would have it not been awesome if Tony Stark was to Iron Man the shit out of his suit, and then when we would have saw it, we would have seen something beautiful. And another thing about Spider-Man, yes, he does join Team Iron Man. However, after the big fight and seeing what happens to Goliath, after what happens in general to a lot of characters in the comic book, he switches over to Captain America's side, where he actually goes back to his original suit. They don't show that in this film. They just show him in that big airport scene, and that's it. But guys, like I said, and I knew that this was gonna happen because the MCU has made it clear. Kevin Feige said that he doesn't want to make the revealing of all the superheroes' identities the driving force. He wanted to go a different route, which is clearly what he did. And the Russo brothers wanted to retell the story and make their own version of the Civil War. Does it come out to be an amazing movie? Well, like I said in my review, I love the movie. I think it's amazing. And yeah, it may seem weird that I gave this film such an amazing rating, but I'm talking all these things they could have done. Because that's the thing. When you adapt something from a comic book, a graphic novel, book, etc., you're bringing out and you're sucking out all the beautiful juice. And you're just putting it in that film. And then it just flows. On a side note, we all know we couldn't have X-Men be in this film because they're owned by Fox Studios. And the unfortunate thing is, and I'm just gonna say this much, if Fox if they were to sell Marvel Fantastic Four, we wouldn't get this shit to happen. They just had to fuck it up, didn't they? Just had to fuck it up. You idiots. Guys, I feel like what Fox is amazing at is X-Men, a Deadpool. Stick to that, please. Don't make any more Fantastic Four movies. We honestly don't want to see that. And I'm not even going to go into reviewing why this film is shit. We all know that already. It's a horrible movie. It's a build-up to nothing. That's it. That's all I have to say. But it would have been so cool if Fox were, in fact, to sell Fantastic Four characters to Marvel, and then we would have had something even more amazing. Because, believe it or not, Fantastic Four play a really big, significant role in the comic book. But again, we have the whole conflict between Fox and Marvel not liking each other. And they just have a lot of disagreements and they're rivals. And maybe we'll never get to see these characters meet universes. Maybe. You can keep praying for that, but at least we got Spider-Man, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Guys, thank you so much for watching this. I really appreciate this. And tell me, from the list of topics that I mentioned, which one of them do you believe was the most possible they could have done? Do you agree with my list, or do you see that there may be a different order? Please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much once again for watching, and don't forget, stay sexy.